Hello world! WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of Blood Magic Developer Commentaries. So today we're going to cover a few new rituals as well as many of the improvements that have been added to living armor in the past few days. Some of these improvements are not in a public version. However, if you Google Blood Magic Jenkins and find the dev Jenkins, you'll be able to find all of the test builds that basically, if they break the world, it's your fault because they're test builds, and that's kind of what test builds are. They're for testing things and for apparently running your mouth off because you're not actually getting to the meat and potatoes of the stuff that you are doing. So let's get into the thick of things and talk about living armor as well as the routing system. I think that'll cover everything nicely in the nice 30 minutes that we're gonna have. Probably gonna be less, we'll see how it goes. But let's get started with living armor. So as we know, we have living armor here, which I'm going to get out of the way. So living armor you create very easily. You use a binding reagent and an iron helmet. In a nice binding array like this, you use the arcane ash, place it down, place the binding reagent, place the iron armor in, and then away and go. You are off to the races. And when you create this set of armor, you'll see now you have a total upgrade points of 0 out of 100. What this means is that basically it's a new set of armor. We're actually going to need to get a new set right here. It's a new set of armor, has no upgrades in it. When you add upgrades to it slowly, you'll be able to get some, well, fun upgrades. So for instance, let's see. Which ones are good? Step Assist, I don't think I added any requirements to it, but if I add Step Assist to this, you can see for some reason the boots aren't there. I have no idea why that is. But Step Assist costs 20 points and it allows you to step up blocks. Currently there's no stat tracker in order to give you this upgrade. So currently it's only a creative only item, but it's going to be added in the near future. And it should work so that if you take any of the items off, basically the living armor will not function because the symbiotic life form that is attaching to the armor, giving you all of these crazy and cool abilities, kind of needs the whole set for it to work. Other than that, basically add more upgrades, get more levels, etc., etc. Now the problem is, in your normal playing, basically how it is that you go get upgrades by training them. So if you run around a lot, you're going to get faster. If you check the microphone to make sure it's actually muted, you'll get basically common sense points. And also if you do some more damage, you're going to get higher damage, poison resistance, trick shot, etc., etc. Now, what if you get something that you don't really want? Obviously, you could just create a new set of armor, but that's not really practical all the time, especially if it's something that you can't get, well, you can't really get around by not moving, if you know what I mean. It's just not very practical. So I added 2 rituals, as well as a bunch of different items and abilities that will allow you to better manage your, basically get the upgrades that you're going to want for a particular set of living armor. Now these are no way set in stone. Well, they're kind of constructed out of stone, so that's something else entirely. Basically, the constructs are made of stone, but they're not set in stone. Capiche? Capiche. Okay, so there are 2 rituals that we're going to want to look at. First, we're going to obviously need Master Ritual Stone, and we're going to need to get ourselves a Ritual Diviner Dusk. So the 2 rituals that you're going to want are at the end of the list here. Not that, Zephyr Expulsion. Okay, Sound of the Cleansing Soul, and Ritual of Living Evolution. The effects of these and how you use them are going to change in the future, but these are basically to get people acquainted with the abilities. So, Sound of the Cleansing Soul, you obviously hold right click with the Ritual Diviner so that it constructs the entire, well, construct around you. Just wait a bit. And done. So it creates this nice little chamber for you to walk into. So if we get our activation crystal, let's use the creative one, bind it, /game mode 0. So we can see that we have quick feet and step assist on this living armor. If we walk in, a bit of lightning will strike us, remove the upgrades from our living armor, and then give us the living armor upgrade tomes of the same level that we had. And, this is the key thing, reset the stat trackers that track those given upgrades. So, what this means is that when you take away the quick feet, it's going to reset your movement progress to 0. So basically it means that you're going to have to run around a lot if you're going to want to add stuff, but it also means that you have a lot of time in order for you to add the upgrades that you're going to want. So as I noted before, if you want to add the upgrade onto the living armor, after you have the upgrade tome, you can right click with the living armor upgrade tome and it's going to be added to your armor using the available upgrade points. So why is this important? Well, in order to train your armor to do a specific task, you're going to need to, well, tell the armor what it needs to train. So in that, let's go game mode 1. So in that spirit, I added a few items. So I'm just going to grab these upgrade tomes again. Creative menu, let's just say it does some weird inventory stuff where I managed to get the living boots back in a prior part. But anyways, so in order to train a specific upgrade and train nothing else, you're going to want to get a trainer. Obviously, work in progress texture. So, Living Armor Training Bracelet. The recipe of this is you need to have a Master Blood Orb, so you need to be 4th tier, but considering that these Dusk Ritual Stones require a tier 4 altar anyways, it's not bad. Just a bit of gold nuggets, or you can use gold coins if you're feeling a little ritzy from Thumbcraft, and you can use iron ingots, and this gives you a training bracelet. Now, what does this do? Well, we're going to need to get an anvil. So if we get an anvil, we can see we don't have any upgrades here. And we then, what is a good one to test? I suppose the only really, I think you're going to have to take my word for this, but if you take the training bracelet, you can either get a training bracelet, because the name is too long, or you can make it training bracelet that's set to quick feet. And thankfully it kept this T like Mr. T. There's only one Mr. Now, whatever I do, no matter what, so let's take some damage potions just to demonstrate. So, instant damage, or a lot of Thumbcraft stuff with damage. Anyways, so instant damage 2, potion of harming. So I can run around drinking these potions of harming, and theoretically what this should do is that while I'm drinking these potions of harming, I'm obviously healing and running around while I'm doing so like a maniac, and I should be training normally my health regeneration. And the solar-powered perk, or upgrade, since I'm regenerating under the sun, while it's daytime. However, you'll notice when you use this, obviously it's going to take a bit too much time for it to be anything, well, fun. If you notice, I got quick feet level 1. Now I have level 1 quick feet while I do not have any other upgrades. I am not able to train any upgrades while I have this training bracelet on. If I were to drop it or do other stuff, I'll be able to start training all of the other other things. Now, another thing to note is that if you have multiple training bracelets, it will make it so that you train all of the different types of training bracelets you have. So if I were to get a healthy training bracelet, bit of glitch there I'm going to have to fix. If you have a training bracelet, I am explaining this horribly, so give me a second. If you have multiple training bracelets, like a healthy training bracelet, you'll be able to train the healthy upgrade. Same with damage done, same with damage dished out, etc., etc., etc. So you'll be able to train a lot of things. Now, there is a bit of a glitch, which I will fix by the time that the actual release comes out with these training bracelets, where some upgrades with how I handle the stat tracking, this basically, as soon as you drop it or pick it up, it will give you the upgrades. That is going to be fixed, and it's a good thing that I noticed them while I'm doing these videos, because hooray, professionalism! Now, you did notice that I used an anvil to combine those, well, combine the bracelet and the upgrade. So this slightly damaged anvil is going to be a bit more damaged because game mode 1, I'm going to get some upgrade tomes. Let's get quick feet. So if you were to use this ritual quite a bit, and by the way, this ritual does use a healthy amount of LP in order to operate. However, it will use demonic will in some form or another, but I'm not going to tell you how yet. You're going to be able to get multiple of the same type and level of upgrade tomes. Now you can combine these in an anvil. If you combine 2 quick feet level 1s, you'll get a quick feet level 2. If you try to combine a quick feet level 2 with a level 1, you won't get anything. Same if you combine them with different upgrades, they obviously will not work. But quick feet level 1, quick feet level 1, you get level 2. If you combine level 2 and level 2, you get level 3, etc., etc., etc. So it's going to require a lot. Basically, it comes down to this. Either you train a lot for small amounts of upgrades, or you can train a lot for a lot of high-level upgrades and combine them that way. Because running around doesn't cost much, but it can take a bit of time. This is just a way that if you really want to train yourself, you can get very high-level upgrades by using them in the anvil, and it can become a lot more interesting. Speaking of interesting, that brings us to the next ritual, which is over here. Instead of that one, it's a slightly different stone configuration. Instead of air and water, it is earth and dusk. And if we activate this, this is the ritual of living evolution. Activation crystal, activate it. Obviously, they're not in the right configuration, so let's get a ritual diviner. I love those chat messages. Living evolution. There we go. Yeah, some of the ritual stones must not have been in the correct configuration, and the reason for that was because, let's just say, test worlds get very interesting the more and more you use them. So, we're going to step in here. And after a bit of lightning, which for some reason didn't render, you'll see that we now have the possibility of getting 300 upgrade points. That means we can get higher levels of living upgrades. So we can get, I think, up to speed quick feet number 9. So let's game mode 1 ourselves. 1 up sun. And we're going to get quick feet level 9. Feed it to ourselves. Game mode 0. We used 190 upgrade points. And we run pretty quickly. We can probably actually get Quick Feet level 10. Which apparently we can. And I probably should increase the upgrade points because obviously this thing is freaking fast. Plus 150% speed. And if we actually get a haste sigil, and it's costing a lot because obviously I do not have a blood orb. Don't have a creative blood orb, so you're just gonna have to pardon me. You can go pretty fast with all this. Now, if you go this fast, you're probably going to want to turn off the shaking when running. It can get a bit hairy. But the idea is that since that was a level 10 upgrade, it basically consumes almost all of your upgrade points. So in order to get this fast, you're not going to be able to upgrade stuff. And let's just say I'm going to need to tweak the balance of this stuff. It's pretty high. And by the way, Sigil of Haste currently it gives a jump boost. That might change. I'm not sure if I like that. But anyways, it gets interesting. Now, this, in the future, is going to be a very, let's see, time set day. And by the way, I do know that day rules cycle for turning it so that there's no daylight cycle. However, the problem is with that is that it messes with a lot of blocks that rely on block ticks. So it just becomes really annoying to manage. Anyways, also the reason we were going like Quake Pro there was because when you sprint with high level Quick Feet upgrades, it gives you speed for a certain amount of time. I'm just going to take this off because it's starting to get rather annoying. Anyways, let's move on to something else. Oh yeah, beta, rituals, recipes, etc. So this is going to change. It's not going to be this easy to get Quick Feet level 10. That said, in order to get Quick Feet level 10, you're going to have to run around a lot. So I guess the balance is in that. Now, we get to look at a bit of routing magic. And yes, I am Samasaran. Pew 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 pew. It's always fun when you find some glitches that are just so interesting that you don't ever really want to get rid of it. Anyway, so item routing system is basically, obviously, a way to route items. Not much more to explain about that type of concept other than to actually show you some ways on how it works. So, the idea with this is that you're going to take items from one place and put it in a different location using fancy pipes that don't take as much space as regular pipes. So, what any sort of item routing system needs is a master. So this basically is the control, central control circuit for everything in this system. You have input routing nodes, so to input into the system. You have output routing nodes to output from the system. And you have routing nodes to help connect when you don't want to spend as much for everything else that is in here. So, you're going to need these 4 types of blocks, and you're also going to need a node router. So, just a quick look at the recipes. Master routing node, diamond, iron block, imbued slate, and drains 200 will. So you need a common tartaric gem in order to make this. Recipe for the routing node, just stone, glass, redstone, glowstone, and only drains 5 will. The output uses iron ingot with a routing node, as well as some more glowstone and redstone dust, and also uses 25 will. And input routing node, 25 will, gold ingot instead of iron ingot, same cost, etc. And you're also going to need a node router, which is a bit of lapis lazuli, stick, reinforced slate, as well as 5 demonic will. And you're also going to need a few filters. So if you check the recipe for this, all of these require frame parts. Frame parts are simply stone, glass, and a blank slate, and uses 10 will. And we have a precise item filter, NBT item filter, mod item filter, and or dictionary item filter. Now with all of that out of the way, let's try to explain this. So the idea with this, in the lore, is that you take the demonic will that you have collected in your journey and try to supplant it inside of the master routing node. So you have some sort of demonic will that is controlling the master routing node and manipulates items to your will, basically. So you're taking this demonic will to... You know how the sentient weapons use demonic will in order to operate? And these use demonic will? You're basically making a sentient network. And you link stuff using fun routers. So, in order to link two parts together, for the routing node, you shift right click on one to set a node location so you can see the coordinates of the node that you're linking. It also holds which dimension you're in, so fun stuff doesn't happen. Then you shift right click on where you want to route it. Now you have a connection. This connection is shown by a nice white strand that is connecting the two nodes together. So if you were to... unfortunately, Creative messes a lot of calls that I need to check for later. So if you were to go in here and break it, all the connections are gone because you broke that node in here. So if we were to link this just to show that it doesn't break all the connections, if you break it, it only breaks all the connections that it's connected to. And also, if there's a subnetwork, subnetwork doesn't really explain it. If it's like this, you see this one's connected to the master routing node because it goes through this path. If you break the connection allowing the routing node to go to the master, it will no longer connect to the master. So obviously it needs some way to connect to the master in order to operate in any sort of capacity. If it doesn't, bad stuff's going to happen. So obviously you're going to need to have a vague idea of how to use this. And obviously that is where I keep on saying obviously, because I obviously don't know what I'm doing, since I'm trying to obviously find something to make obviously. So let's get a simple, very simple contraption right here. You got a furnace and two chests, and we're going to want to have it so that we have an input chest. So you put all of your stone, cobblestone, etc. into here. You have an output chest where you basically want everything else to go from the furnace. And you have a nice fun furnace that's going to be happy-go-lucky, not doing anything except having a fun time. So let's put a master routing node here. And we're going to want to input to the system here, which is the input. And we're going to want to output from our system some fuel, which needs to go into the back here. And we're going to need to output from the system some nice inputs, like cobblestone. And we can link them together, like so. Just to make it pretty, I'm going to put this here. It's not necessary, it just makes links look a lot tidier in this case. So here we go. Actually, we can probably have it something like this in a second. And then, now that we have those connections there, we're going to need to input to the system the contents from here. So it's basically like AE. We're going to want to link this to the master. So now that's connected. And we're going to want to output from here into this chest. There we go. So now we have all of the raw connections that we need. It kind of looks ugly, frankly, because, well, quick little dirty thing, but we can get going. So, cobblestone, we have a lot of cobblestone, we have too much cobblestone, we also have some coal, some nice fresh coal, and we're going to basically put all of this in here, and as you can see, it's just randomly going everywhere. Some of it's finding itself in here, some of it's finding itself in the furnace, somehow managing to get it in the correct order, but it's not something that we actually want. It's not a very good system as it currently is right now. Even though it works, it doesn't really work very well. And that is because we do not have any sort of filter on it. So the filters basically set what can and cannot go into or out of the routing nodes. So precise item filter makes it so that the instructions that you write are precise. So in this case, we only want stone to go into here, right? So the chest that we're connecting to is north. So we press the north button. We're going to need to put some depressed stuff to show that, hey, I actually pressed the north. Put our filter in, and now we need to show what we want. We're going to want to place a stone there. It's a ghost item. And left click adds one. Shift left click decreases by one. Right click divides the stack. Shift right click takes the entire thing away. So place that there. So currently this is set so that it will only ever want one stone. And that's all it will do. So if we put that in there right now, it got ate up by the furnace. There's currently no priority system. This is where, basically this is where the number for the priority system will eventually go. I hope I have my mouse on right now. Basically, right here. If that wasn't obvious, I don't know what will be. So currently this is set so that it will only ever accept one stone into this chest. Once it has one stone, no other stone will be able to enter through this link into the chest. This currently allows anything from its chest to be pulled out of, because it's inputting to the system. Anything that's in this chest, as you saw, will be pulled from here. That's fine. So what we want also here, anything from the top of the furnace, well, anything from the bottom of this furnace, because it pulls down into this to go into the network, anything in this output slot of the furnace will be taken. So that's fine as well. But we're only going to want some coal in here, so we're going to want a precise item filter. It's the north face again, and also if you click the different buttons here, it'll cycle through the different filters that you have for the various sides. Obviously we don't have anything, but press this here. Now this slot will only take one coal. Press this here. This slot obviously is going to need a filter. Now this will only, actually we want down, because we're going for what's down. What's down, yo? It'll only ever want 8 cobblestone. So if we put 64 cobblestone in here, we now have 56, because 8 of it went in there. And if we put a stack of coal in here, we are basically burning the coal. And now we have one more coal in there. Once this burns, our stone got taken out, put into this chest. And if we wait a bit longer, we'll be able to see that now we have one stone there, stuck forever in limbo. Which is fine. If that's what you want to do, you could have it so that you only fill this up to like 8 stone and then it'll stop, but not for this system. If you shift left click while it has a ghost item amount of 1, you'll be able to set it so that everything, all stone, if it can, will go into this chest when this filter is queried. So now, all the stone. We got all the stone. And it'll continue. Also, with how this system is set up, we'll be able to put more stone in here. And it'll slowly be extracted. You can see it only goes 8 at a time. 8 every second, I think that is. And then that stone's going to go in here. We can continue with this setup and basically have a wonderful day, but we have other possibilities that we can add to this. So for instance, there's ignore the NBT of the filter. What this does is that if you have a blood orb that for some reason you need to sort for whatever means it is, the NBT that is stored here is the... That's weird. Oh, that is actually quite interesting. Huh. I have no idea how that happened. I am still quite intrigued. Did I just right-click and get it? I don't know what button combination I did in order to get that, but I am quite interested in that. I am going to look that up for later, because it might have some fun times ahead of us. Anyways, what was I saying? Yes, if for some reason... Anyways, the weak blood orb has MBT. That's what sets the current owner to a particular UUID in this case. So if we wanted to transfer all blood orbs, regardless of the MBT of a particular type, we'd be able to do that. That's what that filter does. Now, the mod item filter makes it so that it matches all items from the same mod. So if we put a weak blood orb or something from blood magic into the filter, it will only accept that type of item for its filter. So blood magic items will not be able to go into your Thumbcraft chests through the filter system, etc. Also a good way to sort your chests by mod ID, but it can get a little hectic because currently there is no priority system, as I mentioned. This is where the priority is going to be, so that it'll only, well, it'll prioritize by your priority level. But that's probably going to be another time. And finally, the OR dictionary item filter. So if you have, let's see, can I search by... No, I can't search by its OR dictionary name, it seems like. But if you have 10 different types of copper ore in your world, you'd be able to smelt them all at, well, through the same system without having to clog up a filter with all those different types. So I think that's basically all I can really talk about in this DevCom. Well, this DevCom's really only showing you what's in the systems, some new minor improvements, some fixes, other stuff, me finding a lot of fun bugs that's gonna happen, and hopefully you don't be angry about. Don't be angry about me. Yes. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Blood Magic Developer Commentaries. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day. Come back here. I need my growth reagent.